Here in central London and to New Year's Eve live as we count down to 2025 here in London and across the United Kingdom. We are now less than half an hour away from welcoming in the new year. Behind me, you can see the iconic Regent Street. This building that I'm standing on actually originally built back in 1932. Around 3 miles from here is the River Thames, and that is where the world famous fireworks are going to take place in less than half an hour's time. It is, of course, 25 years since the first fireworks display in London. Lots of people think they've been going for decades, but actually not. Just 25 years back in 1999 to see in the millennium, which is when the first fireworks display was. Now, crucial to any new year is knowing when a clock strikes midnight. And of course, here in London, we have probably the most famous clock in the world on the Houses of Parliament. It is, of course, known as Big Ben. So let me put that up on the right-hand side of your screen so you can see how long we have to go until we welcome it in the new year. Let me also show you the live pictures. Thousands of people are gathering to watch the celebrations and the fireworks. There you can see lit up in purple is the London Eye. Now originally that was known as the Millennium Wheel. It was going to be a temporary structure here just to see in the new millennium, but of course everybody loved it and it stayed in London, and now it is one of the iconic landmarks that people from all over the world come to see in London. And there it is lit up at the moment, and that is where the fireworks display will kick off from in around 28 minutes time. So we are yet to see in the new year here, but much of Europe has, in the last half an hour, welcomed in 2025. We've seen fireworks displays in places like Paris, and you've seen them in Berlin, and there have been some in Madrid. And that is where we are going to head now, and we are going to speak to Yasmina Garcia, who has been celebrating with her family. Thank you very much for joining us live on BBC News, Yasmina. Just tell us what the celebrations are like in Spain, because a lot of Spanish people, you stay indoors for around midnight, don't you?
Yes, that's right. The usual thing here in Spain is eating the 12 grapes of luck. So basically, all of us start our new year with our mouths full of grapes. They are a sign of abundance, and the challenge is to eat 12 grapes with the chimes of the clock when the clock strikes midnight. So it is a little bit difficult.
And did you and your family manage to do it?
Yes, we have, and it is said that that is, well, you know, a sign of you having a fortunate next year. So I think that we can count ourselves lucky here.
And is it a tradition that has been going on for decades in Spain? How did it come about?
Well, it was a tradition that started a little bit as a joke in a way, because back in the 1800s, the elites in Spain used to drink champagne and eat grapes in New Year's Eve. And in 1882, there were newspapers reports of a group of Madrileños that wanted to mock the rich by going to Puerta del Sol, which is in the center of Madrid, where the clock, you know, where everybody follows the clock, and eat these grapes ironically. Looks like the tradition caught on, and it evolved into what it is today.
You've got your family behind you. They had a glass of something sparkling as well to welcome in the new year?
Absolutely, we do.
I know I know that Spain is famous for cava. I have a couple of my friends who live in Spain who like a cava. Has that been flowing this evening?
Exactly. You are absolutely right. We are drinking cava and also a little bit of cider. We're eating, you know, Christmas delicacies like turrón and polvorones, and you know, and the youngsters will go out and party all night after that and have churros and chocolate for breakfast. That is the tradition.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. A lot of sugar anyway to keep them going. What are your hopes for the next 12 months?
Well, I think that this year, the thoughts of every Spaniard are with the victims of the Valencia flash flooding that happened back in October. I think that our hope from here is for all those people that, have suffered with all of this to go back to some resemblance of normality as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I was in Valencia covering those floods, and my heart goes out to those people as well. Thank you very much for joining us, Yasmina, and thank you to your family, and a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Oh, what a lovely family there in Madrid for us. Now, we are less than 25 minutes away from the fireworks here in London, so let's head to the banks of the River Thames. My colleague Greg Mackenzie is there for us this evening. Greg, what's the atmosphere like with you?
Well, the atmosphere here, Nikki, is incredible. We're 25 minutes away from hearing those fireworks. Now, behind me, the London Eye will come alive. 12,000 fireworks during a 12-minute spectacular. This will be the biggest fireworks display in Europe, beating Paris, who've just had theirs. And ultimately, this is the place to be. The hottest ticket in town, some say. 100,000 people managed to get tickets, and they are just behind the camera here. There's tens and tens of thousands of people just queuing up, all looking up to the London Eye, and they will be treated to that spectacular in just under 24 minutes time. Now, as the Big Ben chimes chime at midnight, that will mark the beginning, and officially we will be in 2025, the first few seconds. And then you'll see the fireworks, and many will be watching from around the world, millions. In fact, it's the most watched programme here on the BBC as of last year, those watching the fireworks unfold here. Now, ultimately, there'll be music playing as well, so that's synchronised with the fireworks. We're also being treated to a lightning show this year, something we've not seen before. Last year, it was drones that were lit up in the London sky. This year, we're told there's no drones, but it will be a spectacular of a light show. There are also some surprises that apparently only we will, or people watching the BBC will see in that live broadcast, but ultimately the London Eye will come alive very soon. They've done some dry rehearsals for the countdown here, which was loud, but it wasn't as loud as it's going to be very, very soon. Now, people in the audience, the crowds here, I've been speaking to them all night, asking, what time did you get here? For some of them, 8 o'clock. They've been queuing up to see these fireworks. They've got prime position just in front of behind the camera. You can't see them, but there are tens and tens of thousands of people. All nationalities here: China, Italy, Japan, America. There's Canadians here, Australians here, and the world's media are parked along the embankment as we are broadcasting this live, as this will be one of the most watched events around the world as the world waits for London to start celebrating the beginning of 2025. And what a year 2024 was. I mean, so much happening. An election, we've got a new president in the States, and so much more. So 2025, Nikki, the theme here is this year, the London Mayor has told us, the theme is hope. That is what the theme of these fireworks will be. Last year, it was unity, bringing the country together. This year, it's simply hope. Happy New Year.
Yeah, indeed, Greg. Now, I remember last year you were a lot closer to some of those people. They kept you away from the crowds, causing trouble last year, I remember. It is interesting because a lot of people think, as I mentioned earlier, that the fireworks have been going for decades and decades and decades. But actually, it was 1999 for the millennium that we saw the first fireworks down there on the Thames.
Well, that's right, it was. And do you remember that year that there were no fireworks? It was all in secret because of COVID. So that it took place down the river in secret. Nobody knew where it was taking place. Nobody could see them. And then all of a sudden they just appeared. So it's fairly new, relatively new, and people are charged to get in here. So tickets range from £10 to £50. So the £10 tickets are the ones here along the embankment, which, to be honest, I think is the best view. The higher priced tickets are those on Westminster Bridge, right in front of Big Ben. Those are the premium tickets, which cost about £50. There was a bit of controversy over the pricing of these tickets, but the Mayor says this event does have to be paid for, and it's subsidised through the ticket sales. And he says this is the eyes of the world will be watching. And he says that this event brings in millions to the economy, and thus it's worth putting on such a spectacular show. So 12 minutes of fireworks, 12,000, Nikki, 12,000 fireworks. There's a team of 30 technicians behind me in that eye sorting all the last minute preparations. And we're only a few minutes away now, about 20 minutes now, I think. But ultimately, it's one of the biggest fireworks. It is the biggest fireworks display in Europe.
Greg, we will be back with you, and of course we will have that full display. I think they think it's going to last around 14 minutes live here on BBC News at midnight. You can see the Big Ben clock there is counting down for us. But there are a lot of places that are already in 2025. One of the first, a lot earlier, was Auckland in New Zealand. It was followed by Sydney in Australia, and more recently we've had quite a few displays because there's a bit of a competition that goes on between the cities in terms of fireworks displays. Sydney do a big one, here in London, but I want to show you some pictures from Abu Dhabi and their fireworks display that took place a little earlier, because it was quite spectacular. This, of course, is this is Abu Dhabi, and it is saying Happy New Year, and the fireworks are going off there. And Dubai as well. We've also had fireworks from Dubai. Dubai, of course, has the Burj Khalifa, that 830-metre huge tall building in the centre of Dubai, and that is a beautiful, iconic location for them to fire all of those fireworks and displays off, and you can see those gorgeous pictures of them. And of course, that's the nice thing about New Year, because we get to see some of the lovely images from around the world, and we could also show you some from Bahrain as well. You can never have too many fireworks on a New Year's Eve, and these are the ones from Bahrain. Again, gorgeous, going up there into the sky, lighting up the night sky. And this is, of course, what has happened around the world as various locations have welcomed in the new year. And we'll try over the next 45 minutes or so to show you some of the fireworks that have taken place already. And of course, we will also look ahead to some of the places that are still to welcome in 2025. I just want to show you, though, some pictures out of Syria, because of course it has been less than a month since the fall of Bashar al-Assad, and they have been celebrating the new year in Syria, and in particular in Damascus. These are the pictures that have come in from Damascus. The first New Year's Eve since the end of the regime was marked, as you can see, by a big party. We've seen the Syrian capital heavily guarded, I have to say, by armed rebels, but they were guarding what you can see on screen now. A DJ and fireworks, and the mood appeared jubilant, as you can see, as of course it was less than 1 month since we had the fall of Bashar al-Assad, who had been a 13-year bloody civil war there in that country, in Syria. So they were welcoming in the new year there. But of course, some countries, it is harder to welcome in the new year because of the wars that are taking place, in particular, of course, in Ukraine, which is marking its third New Year since the Russian invasion in 2022. And there was actually a curfew in much of the country. So, for example, in Kyiv, no one was allowed out after 10 o'clock in the evening. So there weren't the celebrations that we've been seeing from around the rest of the world. But and this actually, I'm being told, is a live shot from Kyiv at the moment. So you can see very quiet there. This is the iconic centre of Kyiv that you often see on a lot of the pictures. And there you can see that the lights are on, but there is no traffic at all there. Very little going around, probably just the security forces there, because there is this curfew in force in across much of Ukraine, and those pictures live from the capital. But we did hear from the Ukrainian leader, President Zelensky, who gave a New Year address. He said that his country will do all it can to end the war with Moscow in 2025 and halt what he called the Russian aggression. You can see him standing there in front of the iconic Mother Ukraine monument in Kyiv. He also said that Ukraine would need to fight next year to bolster its position both militarily and ahead of any talks to end Russia's 3-year invasion. But there you can see Mother Ukraine lit up. Let's have a listen to some of what President Zelensky said in his New Year address. Of course, his words are spoken by a translator, but let's have a listen.
May 2025 become our year, the year of Ukraine. We know peace will not be gifted to us, but we will do everything to stop Russia and end the war. This is what each of us dreams of. Behind each of us stands Mother Ukraine. She deserves to live in peace. I wish this for all of us.
So there, President Zelensky in his New Year address to the people of Ukraine. And as we saw from the pictures in Kyiv, celebrations not taking place there. And that has happened actually here in the UK, but it's because of the weather. It doesn't seem that the weather got the memo that it is New Year's Eve and there are normally celebrations, because there have been high winds, risk of flooding, and a lot of fireworks displays have had to be cancelled. For example, in Newcastle, also in Blackpool and in Bangor, they have been called off. And normally at this time on a New Year's Eve, we would be heading to Edinburgh for the world famous Hogmanay celebrations. There is normally a giant street party in the centre of Edinburgh, but that had to be cancelled last night because of the fears of the high winds and the flooding. So a lot of those celebrations that would have taken place outside have moved inside. So I think definitely the pubs of Edinburgh will be quite full at this moment. But our correspondent Katrina Renton has been in Edinburgh during the day to assess the disappointment because of those Hogmanay street parties being cancelled.
Well, good evening from Edinburgh, and like you, we have been watching the pictures coming in from all around the world of famous landmarks being lit up by fireworks as countries welcome in the new year there. And of course, Edinburgh would normally be part of that. The beautiful skyline here behind me would normally be lit up with a spectacular firework display, but not this year. Organisers had to take the decision, they said, on safety grounds because of warnings for bad weather. And this happened in 2003 and in 2006 when the outdoor events had to be cancelled because of adverse conditions. People we've been speaking to have come here from all over the world. I've spoken to people from New Zealand, Australia, Dubai, Malaysia, and you know, there's disappointment, of course, especially for people who have come here especially to experience Edinburgh's world famous Hogmanay, but of course realism as well, that you could not take any risks with safety. And there has been some atrocious weather in parts of Scotland today, and organisers taking that into account as well, that if people were going to be making long and dangerous journeys to come here, they needed to have warning, of course, that this was going to be cancelled, and they needed to give them advance warning of that. Now, people who have bought tickets will be refunded. Organisers have said that they will be making that information available to people. So let me tell you though, Edinburgh, indoors even, is a wonderful place to bring in the new year. And from all of us here in Edinburgh, we wish you a very happy new year.
Katrina Renton in Edinburgh. And as Katrina mentioned, there are people from all over the world that have headed for Edinburgh for those festivities that are now heading indoors. We spoke to some of them.
As Australians, we understand weather sometimes takes control of everything. We know extreme weather in the other extreme, which is heat. So we're not surprised, but disappointed.
We're super bummed out. Obviously, we totally understand safety is definitely the most important thing, and the weather is getting a bit extreme. But we were really looking forward to it, but it's just a reason to come back another time.
We're from Chicago, in the States, and we were really looking forward to going to the festival, but unfortunately the weather had other plans.
A little bit disappointed. And we wanted to do the Torchlight Parade, and that was cancelled, and even the castle's closed, so it's a real shame, but never mind. That's yeah, and we're from Wellington, which is actually known for its wind, and we're sort of thinking this isn't quite as windy as even we know it.
Oh, they're brave people up there in Edinburgh, putting a brave face on the fact that those street parties are not going ahead. Now, let me take you back to the live pictures that we are getting in from the banks of the River Thames, which is where in around, well, less than 10 minutes now, we will have the fireworks display. There you can see lit up gorgeously is the London Eye, and you can see the rest of London around there. The banks of the River Thames, you can see there Big Ben, the Houses of Parliament. That is where the fireworks are going to take place, and as we've been mentioning all evening, you are going to be able to see all of that fireworks display live with us here on BBC News, so don't go anywhere. I know that some people around the world will already be in the new year. You may be up early on New Year's Day wherever you are. Perhaps you are in New Zealand. Well, you can watch our fireworks. If you are in the UK, you might be at a big party with lots of friends and you've got us on a screen there, or indeed you may be just sitting at home on your own welcoming in the new year, maybe with a glass of champagne and keeping your pets happy, because of course New Year, not a good time for a lot of pets. A lot of dogs and cats, they get scared by the fireworks, so you may be inside just watching it on the television with us, but you can see there that beautiful image of the London Eye lit up in purple, getting ready along with those thousands of people that are on the banks of the River Thames. Of course, when the fireworks first started, it wasn't a ticketed event, and there were so many people that arrived in central London to witness those early events that the authorities then decided that there did need to be some ticketing, because it is not only a case of getting into London, but of course after you've witnessed the fireworks you then have to get home. And getting home on public transport, on the tube, on the buses at that time of night with that many people was difficult, which is why they made it a ticketed event, and that is why not everyone can see them in person, which is why we here on the BBC broadcast them for you so you can witness them there. So that the live scene. Now, I mentioned earlier there is a bit of a battle with the fireworks displays that go on around the world. London, as Greg was mentioning earlier, has the biggest one in Europe, they say, but when it comes to worldwide fireworks displays, then Sydney is definitely up there amongst the others. And let me show you some of the pictures from Sydney from earlier today. There you can see the iconic Harbour Bridge near the centre of Sydney being lit up by those fireworks. The Opera House, people crowded in there. I think it was over 1 million that were in Sydney to watch the fireworks display, which similarly to London is set to music, which I think is what makes them very special, when there is a soundtrack to go along with those fireworks. For the first time this year, those fireworks were from both sides of the Harbour Bridge. Now, of course, it is New Year already in Australia, so let's go live to Sydney, and Bianca Balsler is there. And I think, Bianca, are you on a beach?
G'day, Nikki. Yes, I am. Welcome to Sydney. Welcome to Bondi Beach, and welcome to 2025. You've got less than 10 minutes to go until your New Year's Eve countdown. Well, we are more than 10 hours into New Year already. And how good does this look? We've got lots of people here at the beach already. Some of them, in fact, waking up here on the sand. It was a big night, as you said, and as you just saw, a beautiful, incredible fireworks display on Sydney Harbour, stretching 7 kilometres. It was bigger and better than I have ever seen before. There were 23,000 pyrotechnic shots, 40,000 ground shots, and 13,000 other aerial shells. It was incredible. And the technology, I must say, continues to advance. Every year it gets bigger and better. Some of the fireworks were even displaying emu tracks. This is how the technology is advanced. It is incredible. The family that's organising the Sydney fireworks has been doing it for almost 30 years. They are a 7-generation pyrotechnics family that's been in the trade since the 1700s. So you can imagine it's a pretty big deal here. But it was a late night. So we've got lots of dusty heads this morning, lots of people trying to wash it off in the surf. Some people trying to surf, but there aren't really any waves, so they're kind of just sitting there on their surfboards. And lots of people out here getting on with the day, getting on with the new year. Just over there, you can see a gym, and people are already getting started on their New Year's resolutions. And, you know, we've barely even hit lunchtime.
Bianca, what have you got in your hand? What have you been eating? Is it ice cream?
Nikki, this is a snow. Sorry, I was meant to put this down. This is a snow cone. Well, it was a snow cone, but it's 27 degrees here. It's very quickly melted. Beautiful weather here. I'm sorry to hear about the weather you've got in the UK. This year we've been very fortunate. It was 27 degrees last night as well on the harbour. For those 1 million people watching, 1,000 people on boats, it was a great night. But yes, unfortunately, the snow cones don't survive.
Yes, you have the benefit of having lovely weather down in Australia compared to the cold and the wind and the rain here. Is there going to be a Barbie on the beach? And I'm amazed that there are so many people who are up at this time after the New Year's Eve celebrations. Do you think some of them probably slept on the beach?
Nikki, I think when I arrived here, there were certainly some people who looked a bit weathered and that they had probably slept here. I actually found these sunglasses just lying about. It was a bit of a wild night here. Today there will be barbecues, there will be picnics. We're seeing a lot of people trundling their picnic baskets and blankets around. And lots of people getting on with their New Year's resolutions, whether it's getting fit. We've seen lots of people here wasting no time to start on their New Year's resolutions. Running from Bondi to Bronte Beach, it's about a 4K run. Whether it's that or working on your mental health, we've seen people meditating as well. It's been amazing.
Bianca, I'm going to let you go off and do that because we're going to head back to London. These are the aerial pictures that are coming in from the helicopter. I can actually hear the helicopter above me here in London. We're on the roof of Broadcasting House. These are the pictures that we are seeing from central London. And look at that amazing image of the London Eye from the helicopter getting ready for the fireworks. Let's bring Greg Mackenzie back in. He is on the banks of the River Thames. Greg, excitement mounting.
Excitement is mounting. We're less than a few minutes away now until 2025 when that London Eye will come alive. 12,000 fireworks, an event that some say a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get to witness. 100,000 people are along the River Thames here on the embankment waiting to see that fireworks show that the Mayor says is the biggest fireworks show in Europe. 12,000 fireworks, and music will be synchronised along with that. We're being treated to a lighting show this year, something we've not seen before, the Mayor has told us. So a special surprise also. We don't know what that surprise is, but there will be a surprise during that fireworks display, which is about to take place here in central London. 90 seconds.
90 seconds. We are underway. We are 90 seconds away, as you heard from the announcement. Of course, it'll all get kicked off with those iconic chimes of Big Ben in central London. Those are the live pictures. You are going to be able to see all of the fireworks here on BBC News, along with those around 100,000 people that Greg mentioned in central London on the banks of the River Thames to witness, hopefully, fingers crossed, as good as, if not a better display than we had in Sydney. The countdown is underway. Let's join live here on BBC News, welcoming in 2025 with the London fireworks.
London. This is London. London town. Let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London.
Tweaking, 120 on the M-way speeding.
Trust me, Daddy, there will always be a bit of my heart devoted to it.
So many people. Ladies and gentlemen, London is hard.
Let's take him back to 2024.
We're going in search of summer, but no sign of that across the UK, that's for sure.
It's been one of the soggiest summers on record.
Why does it always rain on me? Why does it always rain on me?
Call when we run down this rain.
Even when the sun is shining.
Why am I wet? Yeah, let's rain.
When skies are grey, hope is the way.
Unbelievable!
We needed something to brighten up the summer, and this is it.
Paris 2024!
A stunning Games for Paralympics GB.
The bronze medal for Great Britain.
It's a silver medal.
Gold for being brilliant!
Welcome to the final of Euro 2024.
A moment of brilliance from Bellingham! Now in the line of draw!
When I met you in the summer.
That's rap.
the 80th anniversary of D-Day.
We were fighting for freedom. Freedom for everyone, not only for us.
I feel very proud I did something for peace.
Always hope.
All I need is a little bit of hope, yeah. All I need is a little bit of hope.
As we start a new year, let's honor our history and never give up hope for the future.
No matter what happens, London will always be a city of hope and a place for everyone.
Let me get right to the point. I'm ready for this. You start me falling. Thinking about me every night. Oh, is it that sweet I get so? Say you can't sleep, baby, I know that's that me. Move it all down, left, right, oh, switch it up like Nintendo. Say you can't sleep, baby, I know that's that me, it's the soul. You don't know you're beautiful, only you know what I can see. You understand why I want you so desperately. Right now I'm looking at you and I can't believe you told me. You don't know you're beautiful.
We could go band for band, water milk for the Maybach truck. It's got to the point that I don't even care. I got jewels in a safe that I don't even wear. We like to party. Let's go. There's a party going on right here. Let's celebrate. Come on now, celebrate your party with you. One more time.
Happy birthday to the London Eye.
We're gonna celebrate. One more time. We're gonna celebrate.
The London Eye, celebrating 25 years in London skyline. Gonna burn this goddamn house right down. It's murder on the dance floor. You better not kill the groove. Hey, hey, it's murder on the dance floor. You better not kill the groove. It's DJ, gonna burn this goddamn house right down. DJ, let's go. All right, just dance, baby.
There's a party downtown near Fifth Street. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy. Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me exact, Dave's got a history. At the bottom of a bottle, don't miss me. Everybody at the bar getting tipsy.
We're in heaven. I need your love.
Never ever be alone.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow.
It's a new dawn, it's a new day. As long as I'm alive, and I'll be sports screen your pride.
I'll be standing there by you. I need your love. We're in heaven.
Jam, pump it up while your feet are stumping. And the jam is bumping. Look at the crowd is jumping. Pump it up a little more. Get the party going on the dance floor. See, 'cause that's where the party's at. And you'll find out if you do that.
Love is all that I need. And I
enter a new year, I always remember what Mrs. Brown says. In London, everyone is different. But that means anyone can fit in. I think she must be right, because although I don't look like anyone else, I really do feel at home. Happy New Year, love from Paddington.
Wow is all I can say. Absolutely amazing display there in London. And can I be the first from everyone here at BBC News to wish you a very happy 2025. I have a glass of BBC water. Nothing stronger for me because I am working, but I'm going to take a little sip and say wherever you are, however you are celebrating, I do hope that 2025 brings you everything that you wanted. And after that amazing start to the new year, can it get better? Let's head back to the Thames and my colleague Greg Mackenzie, who was right in front of it. Greg, that was amazing.
I mean, that was a spectacular. I mean, I haven't seen anything like it. I mean, I was here last year, the year before, and I think this year, definitely, that was something for the eyes. That everyone in front of me, there's tens of thousands of people just behind the cameras here that were just all in awe, just staring up at the fireworks. I mean, you heard the chimes of Big Ben. We are officially in 2025. It's a new year, Nikki. So happy New Year, and happy New Year to the 100,000 people that managed to get tickets to be here at the embankment. I mean, those fireworks were spectacular. There was references there. There were some speeches being played out, if you noticed. A reference to the D-Day landings. You also heard from Paddington, the creator. So lots of messages within that display. And then you just heard there Auld Lang Syne. So the song is now playing out, I guess. And people are now just kind of dancing here and hugging in front of me. And some people get quite emotional here along the River Thames. And I guess it marks the end of a year and into a new year and a new beginning for many. And this year's theme is hope. And hope is what the mayor says. He just says it's hope this year. So that display, the theme was hope for everyone.
Yeah, Greg, the projections onto the London Eye was something new this year. We saw some of the Euro 2024. Then at the end, we saw Paddington. Also caught my eye that it had happy birthday to me because, of course, it's the birthday of the London Eye being 25 years. That was something new this year that they were trying out, and it does seem to have just added that little bit extra.
It added that bit of je ne sais quoi, you know, it gave a bit extra this year. They didn't want to give too much away, but the mayor did say there were some surprises for us, and ultimately you saw them, that was it. Now, in terms of the drones, we had drones last year. There was a drone show. That wasn't this year, and they said it wasn't because of the weather. They just simply wanted to try something new with a lightning show. I was told 420 lights projected onto the London Eye to bring you that, and it was something special. It felt different this year. And like I say earlier, I was saying today, you know, they organised this way back in July, a meticulous planning. There's a crew of 32 technicians that run this show, and ultimately it is the biggest fireworks display in London. And to get to witness it right here, you just feel part of it.
Yeah, and Greg, the issue now is you've got to get home, and that is the case for those 100,000 people as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, for many, they're being told to head to neighbouring Waterloo. That's the station. It's a few miles away, actually. Westminster Station, which is right on top of us here, that is closed, and so is the embankment towards that direction. So many people will simply walk home from here. I will be walking back to the BBC very shortly to file for breakfast news and do all the colour from here tonight in terms of the morning. So you'll get a nice fresh TV piece from me for the morning.
Okay, Greg, I will let you go off and do that. Thank you to you and your crew there at the banks of the River Thames. Now, of course, a new year means for a lot of people they will make New Year's resolutions. I always make it to go to the gym more and to eat less, and I seem to fail every year. But someone who can talk us through whether resolutions work and is it worth doing them is Ria Freeman. She is the author of the book You've Got This. Ria, first of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you very much for joining us on BBC News. So, resolutions, lots of us make them. Are they a good idea?
If they're set like goals, absolutely, you can do brilliant things. But I think a lot of us fall into the trap of saying, you know, we want to get fitter or we want to lose weight, but we're quite vague, and that can mean they're really, really difficult to achieve.
So, if you are thinking about it, do they need to be realistic? And how, if they are, do you stick to them?
Well, that's a tricky thing. Realistic, yes, but I think it's really important to kind of dream big. So what do you really, really want to do? Because if you've got that passion to do it, you're going to be much more motivated when things get tricky. And then what you can do when you have got that plan is you can, if you think about being really specific, so exactly what you want to achieve. So how much weight do you want to lose? How much fitter do you want to be? What do you want to do with that? Then you can work it back when you know when you want to achieve that by, and start to put in sort of little time scales, little micro goals, little signposts essentially to let you know whether you're on track, whether you need to course correct and help you to get there.
And I know you talk to, and if you go to a gym, they have a boost in numbers in January and February, say, and then it all tails off. So how do you keep it going?
Yeah, and you say gyms are a great example of this. So I think how to keep it going is, one thing is to think about these little goals. So if you've got a big weight loss goal, if you've got a big fitness goal, if you've got a big goal of any sort, if you break it down to little steps, you can celebrate each of those steps along your journey. So you're not going for this big thing at the end. You're actually, celebrating as you go there, because so many of us forget to celebrate those micro wins. So I think that's a really important thing to do. And also, if you know exactly where you're heading and you can put those steps into place, you know you're going in the right direction. Also remember that a bit of a blip is not a complete failure, and that's why goals are better than resolutions, because you don't have to, you don't eat a bit of cake and go, right, the diet's off, or right, I've messed it up. You can look at how far you've come, you can kind of pick that ball back up and go again, and then keep going along that path. But no, it's it's a marathon, not a sprint. Whatever goal you look for, whatever resolution you achieve, that's worth trying to go for.
And Ria, just very briefly, have you set a New Year's resolution?
No, I'd set a goal. I'd always set a goal rather than a resolution.
Fine, okay, I'm going to remember that. I need to set goals rather than resolutions. Ria Freeman, thank you very much for joining us live on BBC News. So, we have welcomed in the new year here in London. One of the next big celebrations coming our way is, of course, out of New York, which will be in less than 5 hours' time. Let me show you the pictures live from Times Square, which is where people will be heading for that world-famous dropping of the ball. And of course all of that ticker tape that also is in New York, and you see it on the pictures every year, that paper ticker tape going everywhere. Let us go live to Wendy Gillett, who is CBS News correspondent, and she is in Times Square. What is the atmosphere like there, Wendy?
Nikki, pretty excited, of course. We are just a few hours before New Year's Eve. The celebration here started about an hour ago with the raising of the crystal New Year's Eve ball, which is 12 feet in diameter, almost 12,000 pounds. This is a tradition that started here in Times Square back in 1907. But back then, that ball was not crystal as it is now. It was wood and iron. So we had the handing out of these wonderful hats as well. So I know you want one. Very, very attractive. And the security here, very tight. We've seen hundreds of officers down on the ground, police dogs patrolling, as well as officers peering out of office buildings, on top of office buildings, and a team from the NYPD setting up drones and flying them right here from this floor. So they're trying to get a look from every vantage point to make sure that everyone stays safe tonight. Nikki?
Wendy, please put the hat on for me. Please put the hat on for me. We can see everyone who's got the hats on. Go on, put it on. Go on. We need to see it across the world.
This is the worst hat ever. This is not an attractive hat.
Oh, it's New Year. It doesn't matter at all.
Kind of ridiculous.
You mentioned that the security is tight, but also that iconic ball that you mentioned, I was reading that it has 2,688 crystal triangles, and this is the last year I was also reading of this particular ball because they replace it every now and then.
Yes, they're going to have a new ball next year. They're going to put the current one on a display, an arts and culture display. But yes, a new one next year that's supposedly more digitized and more advanced. So I don't know how much more advanced you can make a ball that's crystal, but we will see.
And we, of course, are waiting for that moment for the ball to drop. But they, of course, Times Square also, there's a big show put on there as well with music acts as well to keep the crowd entertained, because I assume the crowd have already been there for hours.
Yes, I talked to one guy who has been here since 8 o'clock in the morning. He flew to New York from Japan just to see the ball drop. So this is something that really attracts people from all over the world. We already saw Rita Ora perform. Also on the docket tonight, we've got TLC, the Jonas Brothers, and the headliner, Carrie Underwood. So it should be a great show. I actually am really surprised that there's fewer people here than many other years, even though the weather is mild. It's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and rain is in the forecast, but we've had it rain in other years, and I've seen many more people. So it's a little confusing to me why there isn't more of a crowd.
Yeah, maybe it'll grow in the next couple of hours. Wendy, thank you very much for joining us live, and we really do love that hat. I honestly wish that I could be wearing one on my head right now, he says. Wendy Gillett, CBS News correspondent, live there in Times Square. And of course, we will bring you those celebrations here on BBC News from Times Square a little later here on the BBC News throughout the night. Of course, Brazil, Rio still to come as well. Indeed, it takes 26 hours from the first New Year to the last New Year, and that's because of the way that the international date and timelines work across the whole of the world. So that is why we get 26 hours of New Year celebrations. Let me end with some of the pictures that we have seen from across the world over the last few hours. Let's start off in Australia because it is one of the biggest, and these are the fireworks that were across Sydney, the Harbour Bridge there, lit up with the fireworks, which were also to music as well. About 1 million people, they reckon, packed into that area around the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. Let's move to Taipei now, and these are the pictures from the fireworks and New Year celebrations in Taipei. Happy New Year 2025. Of course, they will be the words that will be projected around the world there in Taiwan, in Taipei. From Taiwan, let us head to Hong Kong. Anyone who's been to Hong Kong will know that there is the harbour there, and that is where they light up the whole of that area with fireworks. A lot of those famous buildings in the harbour area of the city of Hong Kong, the banks, and they light them up. From Hong Kong, let's go to Dubai. The Burj Khalifa is the highlight in Dubai. Of course, that 830-metre tower there lit up. And finally, let's give you an idea again, if you missed it, of London. Here, some of the pictures of the fireworks in the last half an hour from here in central London. From all of us here at BBC News, thank you for joining us, and have a happy 2025.
Hello there, we've got more strong winds, heavy rain and some snow as we head into the new year. The heavy rain has moved away from Scotland, but it's moved further south, and it's across this part of northwest England that we have an amber rain warning from the Met Office. 100 millimetres of rain